consciousness. I said, I tell you what, the best way I can discuss it with you is take me with you to the absolute truth.
Exactly. I know. That's the best.
ঠাকুরকে এত অন্ধ হয়ে গেছে গান আছে না
Yeah, I came this year in the summer. I came in 2 days.
Ready?
Yes. We're live.
Are you ready?
Well, I was looking forward to talking with you a little bit about longing for God. And so I will start with a chant, or my usual prayer for opening a talk. Om Tadekam Smaramas Tadekam Hajamaha Tadekam Jagat Sakshi Rupam Namamaha Sadekam Nidhanam Niradam Mamisham Bhavam Bodhipotam Sharanyam Rajamaha. On that alone do we meditate, that alone do we worship. To that alone, the witness of the universe, do we bow. To that one who is our sole eternal support, the self-existent Lord, the raft to safety across the ocean of this world, do we come for refuge. Oh, peace, peace, peace. So the topic given today is, oh, when will dawn the blessed day? And this is actually the first line of a song which Sri Ramakrishna loved very much, and a powerful song which was sung by Narendra, this future Swami Mahayogananda, and recorded in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. So it's a song which expresses this longing for God. Oh, when will dawn the blessed day when love will waken in my heart? When will my tears flow uncontrolled as I repeat Lord Hari's name and all my longing be fulfilled? So it goes on for a number of verses. Of course, the original song is in Bengali, and it's composed by Nilkantha Mukhopadhyay, who was a prominent leader of a theatrical group, a musical and theatrical group in Calcutta and Bengal, and visited Sri Ramakrishna several times, and Sri Ramakrishna loved his company because he was a deeply spiritual man who had tremendous longing for God and expressed those ideas in his songs. So that's a real tradition of the Indian mysticism, is this cultivation of longing, and the mystic songs which express that longing. The devotees of Krishna, for instance, have this tremendous longing, but the devotees of Divine Mother also have their songs. So this is expressing an anguish. Actually, when we start to feel our separation from the divine, when we start to feel that God is my true home, but where is God? I don't see God. The saints and sages tell me that they become one with God. He feels so far from me. Then we start to feel the pain, actually the pain of separation, and that leads to this longing, this which in turn gives us a determination to find God, to realize God, to know God. So this is, of course, perhaps the special feature of Vedanta and Hinduism is this idea that God can be seen, can be known. It's not just a question of belief. It's not, we don't say, oh, it's enough to believe. I believe in God, but God is there. That's enough for me. Well, it may be enough for many people. They have faith, that we have faith that God is there, and we carry on with our lives and have the faith that at the time of death, we'll meet our Maker, as it were. But for the mystics, that's not enough. It's not enough just to believe God is there. What's the proof? I want to see directly. I want to experience directly. That's the final and most convincing proof, when I see myself. Like the Missouri, right? Show me state. I want to see. Show me. God is there. The book says God is there. Well, I want to see. Show me. And the mystics and the saints of every religion say, yes, you can see. And it's a special emphasis of Vedanta. You can know. You can know you can know that your true nature is divine. You can know that your true nature is pure consciousness and bliss. You can find that infinite ocean of consciousness and bliss which manifests as the different conceptions of God in all the world's religious traditions. And you can find it and experience it directly. And yet, we have that faith, but we don't see. Moreover, Vedanta also posits that this is actually the goal of life. The goal of life is to know our true nature, to know who we are, to know that we are one with the divine, that our true nature is infinite consciousness and bliss. Our goal is to awaken from the eternal slumber of ignorance into the light of infinite consciousness and bliss. So how do we wake up? How do we do that? The first step actually is to realize that we're sleeping. You know, sometimes you in a dream, have you ever had a dream where suddenly you realize, oh, this is just a dream. Maybe it's a bad dream, some nightmare or something. Oh my God, it's just a dream. I gotta wake up. I gotta wake up from the dream. And when that thought comes, typically we do wake up and then we, oh, thank God, it was just a dream. We're waking up. Like that, when we begin to realize that, oh, my life is not giving me that deep satisfaction. Isn't there something more? I feel like I'm asleep to the reality of spirit. The sages say there's infinite spirit behind everything, but I'm not awake to that. I'm not aware of that. So that desire to awaken arises in our minds and hearts. Now this Sri Ramakrishna, in his teachings, he gives us one essential ingredient for spiritual life. One essential ingredient. All the others come along along the way. There, all the helpful auxiliaries. There's one absolutely essential ingredient. And if we have it, the realization of God is sure to come. And if we don't have it, nothing's going to take us there. What is that ingredient? Longing for God. Yes. Yearning. Yearning. He uses the term vyakulata. That's the Sanskrit term expressing this intense yearning for the soul, to join with the infinite, with the ground of being. And Sri Ramakrishna comes back to this again and again in his teachings. And he gives a number of very appealing parables to illustrate what is that yearning like? What is it like? I'll come back to those, but first I want to touch briefly on Sri Ramakrishna's life, his own life. As I think most of us know, he was born in 1836, and very early in his life he was drawn to prayer and meditation and spiritual practice. And his father died when he was still a boy, and after that increased his spiritual tendencies. And he used to go to a cremation ground. As a young boy, he would go alone to a cremation ground to meditate. Most people are frightened of cremation grounds, especially at night. But he had, from his very young age, already this yearning, this desire to find God. And as we know, when he was 19, he came to Dakshineshwar, where the temple complex, which is a beautiful symphony of divine worship, with the three main traditions. Three of the main spiritual traditions represented there, because there are 12 Shiva temples for the devotees of Shiva, and there's the Vishnu temple for the devotees of Krishna, or Radha Krishna, and there's the temple of Divine Mother Kali. And after some time, Sri Ramakrishna himself was appointed as the pujari, as the person who is responsible for conducting the ritual worship in the temple. As we discussed yesterday, the process of ritual worship, that same process he was to conduct in the temple. And as you know, the temple has an image of Divine Mother. We call it a murti. It's a statue, as it were, carved out of black basalt, and she's beautiful and highly symbolic, the mother of the universe, Kali. So Sri Ramakrishna began to conduct the worship, and his mind became troubled with this thought. Is Mother real? Is the Divine Mother of the universe real? Or is this just a statue? All I see, I understand that the Divine Mother of the universe is the power that animates this entire universe and everything, and she lies behind everything. That's what the scriptures say, but all I see is a statue. I don't see an all blissful mother, I see only a statue. Are you real, Mother? Or does this have any meaning at all? So this this idea seized his mind as he was performing the worship day by day. Is this real? I guess there's some regular warnings coming.
Yeah,
So
it's an amber alert.
yeah. Anyhow, whatever it may be.
We can't turn it off.
Yes, you can.
Yeah,
Oh.
you
If
can.
you silence your phone, they don't ring.
No,
My
it's
phone,
still
they don't
rings.
ring. They don't ring on my phone. I promise
Not
you.
using my phone either.
Yeah, it's so
Mine
you
is
can
silenced.
silence them or you can turn your phone off.
Mute.
So
Yeah.
whatever it may be, our amber alert is that God is, but I don't see her. That's our amber alert. That was Ramakrishna's amber alert. All the time feeling, oh my God, is Mother real? Or is she just a statue? The saints and sages all report that they've seen God. Now in Bengal, there's this tradition of the mystic poets. Ram Prasad, Kamalakanta, Brahmi, a whole number of these mystic poets who composed songs expressing their longing to know the Divine Mother. And Sri Ramakrishna was intimately familiar with this. He would sing these, he would become completely overwhelmed singing these songs of longing or of sometimes it's rather amusing that some of Ram Prasad's songs actually he gets angry with Mother and he scolds Mother and he even threatens Mother. Mother, if you don't reveal yourself to me, I'll do such and such. I'll eat you up. I'll sue you in a court of law. After all, I'm your son and you're my mother. I'm going to sue you and I'm going to win. You have to show yourself to me. That kind of intensity of devotion that these great poet sages had. And so this really came to an extreme level of anguish of separation. Sri Ramakrishna would spend the whole night awake in meditation. Sleep left him. He couldn't sleep. He became sleepless with this anxiety to realize the Mother. So in the daytime he would perform the worship rituals, and at night he would go into the jungle right by the temple and meditate all night. Sometimes he would break down weeping and rub his face on the bank of the Ganges. So intense was that pain. It became like a madness. Now, the scriptures say, and Sri Ramakrishna also would say, when we long intensely for God, the vision of God is not long to come. It's not far to seek. And that's what happened in Sri Ramakrishna's case also. He had his first direct experience of Divine Mother. And I think it's worth reading his own words on that occasion. He says, I felt as if my heart were being squeezed like a wet towel. You know how in the river they go and bathe with a thin towel called a gamcha, and then they come out and they dry it by wringing it. So he felt like his heart was being squeezed like a wet towel. I was overpowered with a great restlessness and a fear that it might not be my lot to realize her in this life. I could not bear the separation from her any longer. Life seemed to be not worth living. Suddenly, my glance fell on the sword that was kept in the Mother's temple. I determined to put an end to my life. When I jumped up like a madman and seized it, suddenly the Blessed Mother revealed herself. The buildings with their different parts, the temple, and everything else vanished from my sight, leaving no trace whatsoever, and in their stead I saw a limitless, infinite, effulgent ocean of consciousness. As far as the eye could see, the shining billows were madly rushing at me from all sides with a terrific noise to swallow me up. I was panting for breath. I was caught in the rush and collapsed, unconscious of the external world. What was happening in the outside world I did not know, but within me there was a steady flow of undiluted bliss, altogether new, and I felt the presence of the Divine Mother. So this was Sri Ramakrishna's first direct experience of the Divine Mother, which was, we can say, was the culmination of that intense longing. Let's be very clear, this was not a suicide attempt. Sri Ramakrishna was not depressed. He was not trying to escape a difficult situation in the sense of an ordinary worldly situation. It was just that the anguish became so much that that thought crossed his mind that I can't bear the separation from mother any longer. And he reached up to grab the sword that's hanging in the temple. And then the mother revealed herself. So this first experience took place in 1856. Well, I think he came there in 1854, so it didn't take long. But for most seekers of God, this would be the culmination of a life of spiritual practice. For Sri Ramakrishna, it marked only the beginning of his sadhana, only the beginning of his spiritual life, really. Through yearning alone, he became established in consciousness of the Divine Mother. After that, he practiced formal spiritual disciplines according to the different spiritual traditions of India, and even according to Islam and Christianity, he practiced disciplines. So, and found again that they led to the direct experience of God. And every practice that he took up was marked by this intense yearning to realize, to know, to experience directly. Sri Ramakrishna's disciple, Mahendranath Gupta, known to us, most of us, as M, who wrote this document, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the conversations and experiences M had with Sri Ramakrishna. He relates during his second visit to Sri Ramakrishna, he asked him some questions. And one of the questions he asked is, under what conditions does one see God? Sri Ramakrishna gave this reply: cry to the Lord with an intensely yearning heart, and you will certainly see him. There, that's his, he comes back again and again to this teaching. Then, almost in a pathetic and also humorous way, he says, people shed a whole jug of tears for spouse and children. They swim in tears for money. But who weeps for God? Cry to him with a real cry. And then he points out, longing is like the rosy dawn. After the dawn, out comes the sun. Longing is followed by the vision of God. So when we see the rosy sky, we know that the sun is about to rise. When we feel that intense longing, we can also have the conviction, yes, realization is not far behind. We will experience, we will see God, we will talk with God and hear the reply. So he gives us various examples to understand what this longing is like. And he points out that there's three strong attractions that we feel in this world generally. The attraction of possessions for a worldly person. A worldly person is very attracted to his or her car and jewels and money and all of that. A child is strongly attracted to its mother, and perhaps also to its father, but oftentimes maybe the attraction for a mother is a little stronger, that attraction for the mother. And the husband's, he particularly gives the idea that he's talking to a man, the husband's attraction for a chaste wife, or we can say a wife's attraction for a chaste husband. That also can be a very strong attraction, especially in the honeymoon period, right? And then perhaps you have to get separated. You've just been married maybe a few months, and then for some reason one of the spouses has to go to another city for some work for a week, and that longing. Okay, so Sri Ramakrishna says, if you can combine all these three longings, the force of all these three longings, the longing of a worldly person for possessions, the longing of a child for its mother, and the longing of two spouses who are deeply in love, if you can combine those and direct them towards God, that's the kind of longing we need. And God will reveal himself, will reveal herself. Actually, It's always God who is calling us, always God who is attracting us. Even for the worldly person, what is that attraction? What is that longing? And longing is to feel fulfillment, to feel security, to feel enjoyment even. And but behind everything is the Lord, is the Divine Mother calling us, attracting us, through the worldly possessions, through one's mother, through one's spouse. Yes, it is always the Divine which is calling us and attracting us, but mostly we don't recognize it. So we feel like, well, really I want some money, or really I want my mom, or my spouse, or whatever it may be. All right, he gives another example. This yearning is like the state of mind of a person who has someone ill in the family. That person's mind is in a state of perpetual restlessness, thinking how the sick person may be cured. And really think about it, especially for a parent and the child is sick, and maybe the doctors aren't quite sure what's wrong, and there's some tests haven't done. And what kind of restlessness comes in the mind of a parent when that happens? It's terrible. You can't stop thinking about that. Let's go to different doctors, different tests, different specialists, everywhere trying to find out what is this? Why is this situation? What can I do? That kind of longing, that kind of restlessness. Or again, he says, one should feel a yearning of God for God, like the yearning of someone who has lost his job and is wandering from one office to another in search of work. If he is rejected at a certain place which has no vacancy, he goes there again the next day and inquires, is there any vacancy today? Suppose the money is running out. You've lost your job and unemployment has run out. There's no money. Who's going to feed the kids? That kind of restlessness. I gotta find a job. Talking to everybody, calling, writing, submitting resumes, everything. I've got to find a job. That's restlessness. Can we turn that kind of restlessness? Can we feel that kind of restlessness for God? That's the question. It's a kind of desperation. And also note, this yearning brings about persistence. The one who has lost her job, she's going to be trying every day. She's not going to give up because she knows she's got to get that job. Then, of course, there's the story of the disciple who asked his guru, "Sir, what kind of yearning do I need if I want to realize God?" And the guru said, "Come with me." So they go to the lake and they go for a dip in the lake as per the custom. And as the disciple goes under, the guru puts his head on the disciple's head and pushes it down and holds it down. And of course, disciple, first guru's hand is on his head, so he's like, okay, guru's got his hand on my head. But pretty soon he wants to breathe. He feels like he needs a breath. He has to push up. The guru pushes down harder. And he's starting to struggle. And guru's pushing down harder. And now he's really struggling. Then he takes off his hand. And Gurudev. And the guru asks him, how did you feel? I was dying for a breath of air. Just so. When you long for God, the way you were longing for that breath of air, then you would realize God. So that we're dying for a breath of air. We're dying to see God. So Sri Ramakrishna was close to Keshav Sen, the founder of the Brahma Samaj, or not the founder, but one of the teachers of Brahma Samaj. And Keshav asked Sri Ramakrishna, why don't I see God? And Sri Ramakrishna told him he was not one to sort of pull any punches. He said, you do not see God because you busy yourself with such things as name and fame and scholarship. That's what you're interested in. They were good friends, very good, and Sri Ramakrishna felt very close to him and appreciated his deep spirituality. He was a deeply spiritual man and had some attainment also. He noticed that, but still, he also noted he had both. He had that, and he also had this desire for name and fame, and it was fulfilled to a great extent. He went to England and met with the Queen, and as an Indian, as a subject of the Queen, he went to England and met with the Queen, and was widely appreciated both in England and in India among the intelligentsia. Then he told him, the mother does not come to the child as long as it sucks its toy, a red toy. But when, after a few minutes, it throws the toy away and cries, then the mother takes down the rice pot from the hearth and comes running to take the child up in her arms. I used to use this quite a lot. We're busy with our toys in this world. Our name and fame, our money, our new cars, our latest Samsung or iPhone, latest model. We're busy with all these toys. So Divine Mother says, my children are busy with their toys. I don't need to bother too much about them. But when the child throws away the toy, the mothers, they have the pacifier, the little nipple on the thing, and you stick it in the kid's mouth, and the kid is busy sucking that thing. I can do my work. But when the child throws that thing away and starts screaming at the top of her voice, what does the mother do? She comes running, okay, my child, yes, I'm here. Are you hungry? Oh, my dear, yes, and holds her close, right? So like that, when we throw away all our toys and cry for mother, she'll definitely come and take her child up in her arms, definitely. But we may ask, and it's a good question, why do we not feel that yearning, and how can we get it? We don't feel that our life is meaningless, though we haven't realized God. Yes, we feel some yearning, or we wouldn't be here. Each one of us has yearning for God, or we wouldn't have given up a nice Sunday morning to sit in kind of a church-like place and listen to somebody preach at them. So we must have some yearning, or we wouldn't be here. There's a few points I want to mention from my readings and understanding. One is that yearning cannot be taught. We can't teach someone how to yearn for God. Swami Shivananda, more widely known as Mahapurush Maharaj, one of Sri Ramakrishna's monastic disciples, who was the second president of the order, he was teaching someone about meditation, one of his disciples, and he told him, pray with the greatest yearning and weep. Tears will wash away the dirt from the heart, and he will reveal his true nature there out of his own grace. Then the disciple confesses, but sir, the trouble is that I do not have that yearning itself. How can this yearning for realizing him be increased? And Swami Shivananda says, as for yearning, my son, nobody can teach it to another. It comes of itself when the time is ripe. The more you feel the want of the Lord within you, the more intense will be the yearning in the heart. Sri Ramakrishna also corroborates this. He says, one does not feel restless for God until all one's worldly desires are satisfied. One does not remember the mother of the universe until one's share of the enjoyment of lust and gold is completed. A child absorbed in play does not seek his mother. But after his play is over, he says, mother, I must go to my mother. So on the one hand, it seems that the time must be ripe. A certain satiety must come, a realization that the enjoyments of the world cannot give us lasting satisfaction. But it seems like we have a little bit of a paradox here, because at the same time, we know that satiety never really comes. We can never extinguish a desire by satisfying it. That's the lesson of King Yayati, who got the boon of getting his son's youth, and for 1,000 years he strove to quell the fire of desire that was burning in his heart. And at the end of 1,000 years, he realized trying to still desires by satisfying them is like trying to put out a fire by pouring ghee on it. The fire just blazes all the brighter. So it's a kind of a paradox. On the one hand, satiety doesn't come by satisfying desires, and yet, to a certain extent at least, it seems Ramakrishna is saying, we have a certain, and of course we have the idea of previous lifetimes where we have perhaps satisfied many of those desires in a previous lifetime, but a certain amount of enjoyment is necessary for most people. And then we start to understand, oh, it's not giving me that satisfaction that I'm seeking. When that awakens, then the longing begins. Now, on the other hand, though yearning cannot be taught, I believe it can be caught, maybe like a cold or something. This is why Sri Ramakrishna prescribed holy company. It's very important. The company we keep has a tremendous effect on us. It rubs off. If we keep company with other people who long for God, if we have the chance to spend a few hours in the company of a great saint, that awakens longing in our hearts. Sri Ramakrishna says, holy company begets yearning for God. It begets love of God. Nothing whatsoever is achieved in spiritual life without yearning. By constantly living in the company of holy people, the soul becomes restless for God. So we certainly, as I already suggested, we definitely have some yearning, some interest in spiritual life, but perhaps it hasn't reached that intensity that we see in the life of Sri Ramakrishna and his disciples and the other saints. And so there are different levels of yearning, that's no doubt. And the Patanjali's Yoga Sutras delineate this. He says, first of all, that success is speedy for the extremely energetic, those who have that intense longing. Same teaching as Sri Ramakrishna. This is the yoga tradition. Tivra samveganam asannaha. That tivra, that intense yearning and intense energy put towards this, we quickly come. But he points out, there are different levels of yearning. There's the mridu, and there's madhyama, and there's adhimatra. There's mild yearning, middling yearning, and intense yearning. So naturally, the more we can turn up the volume, the quicker the progress. So how do we turn up the volume? Well, let's start from where we are. Let us recognize, first of all, that we have a flame of spiritual yearning, of aspiration burning in our hearts. And we should recognize that this is very precious and also very rare. Most people do not long for God. Most people do not have spiritual aspiration. And Sri Krishna says, you know the verse, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschid mam veti tattvataha. Among thousands of people, one here and there strives for perfection, strives to know me. And of those who strive and succeed, one perhaps knows me in truth. So it's very rare. Recognize that and then protect it. Protect that little flame of yearning. I'd like to think of building a campfire. Did you ever learn to build a campfire in Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, or something like that? Where you start with what? A few little twigs, right? A few little shavings, twigs, a few little dry leaves, and you light them on fire. One match fire, ideally, right? And you start. But it's at risk of getting blown out. So we somehow shield it. Perhaps we if it's windy, we take a cardboard box and try to shield it from the wind. And gradually we put on slightly larger pieces of wood, and slightly larger, and build up the fire. Well, half an hour, 45 minutes later, we have a blazing fire with giant logs. The wind cannot blow that fire out. It's really giving lots of heat. So like that, we start with just the little flame inside, and gradually we grow that fire into a raging fire which cannot be put out by anything. Swami Vivekananda, let me read a little quote from Swamiji. He says, the first step is, what do we want? Let us ask ourselves this question every day. Do we want God? I find many times that I don't want God. I want bread more. I may go mad if I don't get a piece of bread. Many ladies will go mad if they don't get a diamond pin. But they do not have the same desire for God. They do not know the only reality that is in the universe. All right, he used to like to poke fun at people a little bit. Just please don't mind. So we apply, ask ourselves, what do we want? It's a great practice. Do I want God? We can ask ourselves every day, do I really want God? And if the answer is yes, then that's a great step forward. And we can apply this viveka, this practice of discernment. And I think that's really important for strengthening our longing. When we start to feel like, oh, there's so many important things to do, and I have to get that promotion at work, so I have to submit this report in time, and then we apply discernment. We recognize all these various desires in our minds and remind ourselves, even if this desire is satisfied, it won't bring me lasting peace. It won't. Remind ourselves. That's applying viveka. Being honest with ourselves, taking a good look at what's in our minds and being honest. Don't fool ourselves. Realize, even if I satisfy this desire, even if I get that promotion, it's not really going to give me deep satisfaction. Not like if my heart awakens to the presence of the divine. That's what will give me the true satisfaction. So that's applying the viveka. These desires all stem from my feeling of incompleteness. And only by knowing my true self, by knowing the divine, can I attain that completeness, which is already mine. I am complete, but I don't know it. So that's what makes me feel incomplete, which brings all these desires, this lack of peace. So gradually, in spiritual practice, as we go on doing practice and applying this practice, this discernment, all those desires we have for name and fame, for wealth, for security, they get subsumed in the greater desire, the desire for God, the desire for infinite love, for infinite peace. I heard a talk once, right? Just after I joined the monastery, one of the monks at our monastery in Trabuco, he gave the talk. I don't remember anything about the talk except the title of it. And it was a beautiful title. The title was Longing and Belonging. And his idea in the talk, which he developed nicely as I recall, but I don't recall the details, is that the more we can feel that we belong to God, the more we long for God. Our children belong, we feel they belong to us, so we long for them when we don't see them. Our parents belong to us. In that sense, God is our very own. Sri Ramakrishna would say, your Divine Mother is your own mother. She's not a stepmother. She's our very own mother. So if we can feel that we belong to the Divine Mother, that we can really feel that she is our very own mother, that we belong to her and that she belongs to us, then that helps us to long for her. So that is one of the practices. In cultivating longing, prayer is a great help. Sri Ramakrishna teaches us how to pray. That beautiful, many times he touches on these same themes in prayer of taking complete refuge in God. O Mother, I throw myself on thy mercy, I take shelter at thy hallowed feet. And then, Mother, I don't want anything of this world. I don't want name and fame, I don't need that, I don't want money and creature comforts, I don't want occult powers. Mother, just give me love for you, that's all I want. I just want to know you. And protect me, Mother. See that I don't get immersed in worldliness. See that I don't forget my true calling to know you. So this kind of prayer, this idea of taking refuge, of asking, of reminding her and us that actually I'm not interested in all these things. We may, in life, it may be that we certainly need some of these things. If we have a family, we need some money to look at, help to feed our children, to send them to college, all those things. Okay, there's a difference between wants and needs. And that's where that viveka comes in again. We have certain needs, and then we have wants that are above those needs. So certainly we need to provide for our family, we need to eat, we need clothing, we need shelter. Maybe a Toyota will do. Maybe we don't need that Rolls Royce after all. Right? Maybe that's just a desire. It's not a need. Let's be frank. A Rolls Royce is not a need for anybody.
It doesn't hurt to have it. Good Lord provides
But what do we really want? That's the whole point. Is do we really want the Rolls Royce? We can have it, and it's fine. It's nice. It's not a harm. But then that desire, that energy that we have for desiring, is deflected to Rolls Royce and not pointed towards God.
It's just a vehicle.
Do you have one?
God has been very kind.
That's what we're talking about. That's why,
I didn't know.
We don't have Rolls Royce.
I didn't think so. Just a Mercedes, I think. Okay, let's see. So there's prayer. Music is a tremendous help. The music touches our heart in a deep way, and when we sing these songs which have been composed by those saints who longed intensely for God, that helps us to awaken that yearning. Reading the lives of saints, bringing ourselves in company of saints. All right, maybe we don't have any great saints with us right here, but we have a lot of books about them and a lot of conversations recorded with them. So that can be a great help. Sri Ramakrishna also suggests now and then it's very good to go into solitude. Even for a few hours, or for a day, or for 3 days, or for a month, or for a year, as long as we can. He says, if it'll be of great help if one goes away from one's family, lives alone, and weeps for God even for 3 days. Even if one thinks of God for 1 day in solitude, when one has the leisure, that too will do one good. People shed a whole jug of tears for spouse and children, but who cries for the Lord? Now and then, one must go into solitude and practice spiritual discipline to realize God. So this idea, it's difficult. Our lives are so busy, and yet it's a tremendous help in spiritual life if we can make arrangements to just drop everything for a day or two, take a retreat, and just focus on God. I had a great fortune to spend a week at our Olima retreat. That was before I joined the monastery. We have a retreat in Northern California connected with our San Francisco Vedanta Society. And one can go there, there's no cost. You can just spend the time in spiritual practice and reading and meditation and japa and prayer and all those things, and taking walks in the natural beauty. So I asked Swami Prabhutananda, the Swami who was at that time in charge of the center, what in guidance he might have for me when I was going for this retreat. And he had only one sentence of guidance. He said, when you go on this retreat, just you and God. Just you and God. Forget your job, forget your living place, forget your friends, forget everything. Just you and God. And that stayed with me the whole week. And it was tremendous help. It really powered that retreat for me, that just me and God. I'm just going to be here with God. We didn't have cell phones yet, so that was also a blessing. That's a tremendous distraction.
It's not open all day, all year round. I think some certain times they open the place or what?
No, you schedule a retreat. You have to
Your own.
you have to schedule it, right?
Oh, I see.
I mean, it's not a public retreat. It's not with other people. It's just me alone.
Yeah.
I had a room to myself. I could meditate as much as I wanted, take a walk, eat on my own. I would prepare some food for myself. I didn't talk to anybody. It was just me and God.
Is
That was
anybody
wonderful.
there to manage it or just?
No, there's somebody who's looking after the place, but individual retreatants. There's a separate women's retreat house and a separate men's retreat house. You live alone now, Ushama.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean,
you're okay.
But
You're alone. You have to. Those who live alone have to be careful that they don't get too much cut off from people and get lonely or something. That's the other side. But most of us don't live alone. Most of us live in community, and so going into solitude is very helpful.
But There's one place that I would like to go because I've never gone to West Coast. So
Yes,
some of the things
we'll
just to
we'll
visit.
see you. We'll see you soon. Hope so. So, Sri Ramakrishna is asking us again and again to weep for God, as if it's something easy. Actually, it's very difficult to weep for God. It's a great blessing if we can weep for God. A tremendous blessing, and very powerful. It's to be done in private, not in public. Not that we show our tears and then everybody says, "Oh, look how devoted they are." If we're going to weep in private. Go into our closet and pray there, right? So it's something that we can strive for. That kind of longing that we actually shed tears, and then of course chanting the holy name, chanting the name of God. It's a tremendous purifier. It works a revolution in our minds, rewires our whole brain and mental apparatus if we can continue chanting the name. As Sri Chaitanya says, chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be white clean. Our mirror, our heart being like a mirror, and we have to go on polishing it and polishing it. How do we polish it? Simply by chanting the divine name, by chanting the holy name. So that stokes the fire of our longing. So we're coming towards the end of our hour. I would like to turn. I mean, all the traditions, all the spiritual traditions have this longing, and this like the Psalms in the Bible also are full of these expressions of longing. I'll just read a couple lines from one of the famous Psalms that I love. This also, you'll recognize the same in the same bhava, the same mood in our Hindu tradition. This is the 42nd Psalm. As a deer longs for flowing streams, so my soul longs for you, O God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When shall I come and behold the face of God? My tears have been my food day and night, while people say to me continually, where is your God? So that longing. So there's a beautiful article written by one of our senior Swamis, which came out in October of 1979 in Prabuddha Bharata, the Awakened India, the journal. And he writes in that article about spiritual aspiration. And I'd like to share a few points from that article because they're very helpful, very inspiring.
What's his name? Tell me.
Swami Mahayogananda. He's now a vice president of the order, and he lives at our headquarters in Billermite. So, well, he makes a lot of good points. One, the functions of aspiration, of this yearning. What's the function? Well, first of all, it's the motive power for our spiritual practice. We don't do something unless there's a desire behind it. We don't eat if we're not hungry. It gives a higher direction to our mental energies. Because that aspiration is there, our mind naturally goes in the spiritual direction. And it makes detachment easy. This is an important point. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that, because he used to emphasize also to a certain extent vairagya or detachment. But he said, actually, it doesn't mean just detachment. It doesn't mean just detachment from worldly entanglements. It means at the same time attachment for God. Detachment from the worldly entanglements and attachment for God. Viraga and anuraga. He would say, if you're going to Benares, the closer you get to Benares, the further away Calcutta falls behind. So as we approach God, naturally our entanglements drop off, our attachments for name and fame and wealth and all those things, they naturally fall off. And aspiration unites the scattered powers of our mind and will. It's a beautiful way of thinking of it, that our powers are scattered, our mind goes to so many different things. If there's one overarching desire which takes over everything else, naturally that focuses the power of our mind, focuses the power of will into that direction. So he says there are some tests for aspiration. Is it genuine aspiration? He says, first of all, it doesn't depend on externals. It's arising naturally within us. We long, and it doesn't matter if we don't have to go to the temple to feel it, and when we're back home we no longer feel it. It's naturally arising in us. And it towers over other desires. It's the prominent desire. Yes, there may be some other desires, but it's the one that stands apart from all the other desires we have. And it gives us strength, tremendous strength, determination to succeed. And it is accompanied by a desire for purity and holiness. That desire, when we start to really long for God, then we realize that, well, I need to purify my heart. I want to be holy. I want to increase my holiness, as it were. And he points out some obstacles, and this is helpful to think about. One of the major obstacles to yearning is unholy company. Just as holy company helps us cultivate yearning, unholy company, that also rubs off. So be careful of the company we keep. It's really important. If we keep company with atheists or strongly materialistic people, gradually we also think, well, it's not so bad. They're happy and they're seeking those things. I can also do that. It really does have an effect on us, the company we keep. So be careful of the company we keep. And this is an interesting point he makes, which is kind of sobering. He says, this obstacle, he calls it surrender to the collective. In any group of people, there's a sort of average level of anything. And in the case of spiritual yearning, in any community, even a spiritual community, there's sort of average yearning. Most people's yearning is kind of fair to middling, right? Not really strong. And there's the tendency of a community to pull everyone down to the average. If anyone shines, even in music, there's a group of kids and one kid is really good. Well, most likely a lot of the other kids will get jealous of that kid and they might try to sabotage their playing or something, That kind of tendency of a group to pull us down. So if we have greater yearning than the other people we know, there's this danger of starting to just feel pulled back down to preoccupied with the mundane and trifling matters of daily life. And this is a kind of tragedy, and it's gotten more, and I see it in my own life with these devices, especially the mobile phone, and the divine is calling us. The Mother is calling us consistently, all the time. Can we hear that call? Yes, Mom, I'm coming, but wait, the World Cup is on. Let me just finish the World Cup, or the test match between Pakistan and India is going on. And after that, I'll come to you, or let me win this round of computer solitaire, These are trifles. They're trifles. It doesn't matter. And I call it anti-social media. Takes it really to the next level.
If India loses, then everyone will come here.
I saw a match between India and cricket match. The monks were watching.
Yeah.
Monks typically don't watch much TV, but in India, cricket match, especially India versus Pakistan, they'll be watching. I swear to you, one of the monks, he was on his knees praying. Yes.
We were not expecting many people here. They are very truth. We were not expecting many people on that day, but all of a sudden there was, how come India lost? We talk about it.
So whatever it may be, that in the anti-social media, all these little trifling things get raised into huge proportions, like the latest insult that one celebrity gave to another. And there's lots of things about it, or the latest insult that one politician fired at another. And it's not just as they say, so-and-so slams this and slams that. But so what? That, so what?
You're right.
So for the true seeker, there's only one important thing, that's to find God. And there's one final obstacle he points out, really interesting, is self-delusion. Those who think they are already illumined. If I think I'm already illumined, and there are people like that, they think they have realized God, but we see them, we know that obviously they haven't, but they think they have, so why strive? I don't need to do any striving, I'm not yearning for God, I've already realized God. Just compare the lives of great saints. Great saints have attained a certain amount of illumination. Their yearning doesn't go away, it increases. The more they realize, the more their longing increases for yet greater and greater realization. So that's the difference. Someone is, I don't really, why should I long for God? I've already realized. They're deluded. And he puts, in this article, he delineates 3 stages of yearning, in accordance with the letter of Paul, which talks about faith, hope, and charity, or faith, hope, and love in the Bible. I'm not too familiar with the letter, but it's a famous letter. And we start our spiritual life, our yearning, with faith. It may be blind faith. We're trusting in the teachings of the saints and sages, our spiritual teachers. After a lot of struggle, we start to get some glimpses. We get a higher glimpse. We start to realize that, yes, I do sense that spark of infinite joy deep within me. At least I've gotten a glimpse of it. I may not be feeling it all the time, but I got a glimpse of it that night when I was praying intensely. Then that faith turns into hope. Because we've had a glimpse, we are hoping and trusting that we will get more glimpses, that we have there's real hope for us to attain spiritual illumination. And as we go on practicing, that hope is transformed into love. Our yearning becomes transformed into true devotion, which is intense love for the divine. And it is this intense love which carries us to the divine, this intense love for God. Let me read the full song that we took the title, and then we'll close with this which has been beautifully translated by into English by Swami Nikhilananda with the help of one of his disciples, who was a Swami, and then he left the order, and so he's now known as John Moffat. He was a poet, an established poet already, and he's turned these into beautiful poetry. Oh, when will dawn the blessed day, when love will waken in my heart? When will my tears flow uncontrolled as I repeat Lord Hari's name, and all my longing be fulfilled? When will my mind and soul be pure? Oh, when shall I at last repair unto Vrindavan's sacred groves? When will my worldly bonds fall off, and my imperfect sight be healed by wisdom's cool collyrium? When shall I learn true alchemy, and, touching the philosopher's stone, transmute this body's worthless iron into the spirit's purest gold? When shall I see this very world as God, and roll on love's highway? When shall I give up piety and duty and the thought of caste? When shall I leave behind all fear, all shame, convention, worry, pride? Oh, I shall smear my body then with dust from the feet of devotees. Across my shoulders I shall sling renunciation's pack, and drink from my 2 hands a cooling draught of Yamuna's life-renewing stream. Oh, then I shall be mad with love. I shall both laugh and weep for joy. Then I shall swim upon the sea of blessed Satchit Ananda. Drunk with his love, I shall make all as drunk as I. Oh, I shall sport at Hari's feet forevermore. In Bengali, I'll just sing the first line. কত দিনে হবে সে প্রেম সঞ্চার হয়ে পূর্ণকাম বলবো হরি নাম নয়নে বাহিবে প্রেম শ্রুধার কত দিনে হবে সে প্রেম সঞ্চার. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about yearning in spiritual life and its importance, and how really we should feel blessed that we have that yearning, because we all have that yearning or we wouldn't be here, and to treat that as a treasure, to protect it, to grow it, and that will take us to God. It will take us to an illumination, to lasting joy and peace, and in that way we become a blessing to ourselves and to our families and to the whole world. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Swamiji, I was just remembering a bhajan, a song. This is about Radha when she's looking for Krishna after Krishna goes away. And she's looking so hard that she becomes Krishna. And she says, where is Radha? So that was the result of Radha's yearning.
One thing, Swami, you talk about singing. Actually, I just recently I heard, I should have known, but in the Gurbani, the Sikhism, their scriptures all Bani, singing. They don't read it, and they say there is a special connection with God when you sing.
yes.
Yeah.
Swami Vivekananda says, music is the highest art,
Yeah.
and for those who understand, the highest worship.
No, this is what
So Swamiji, can you sing this song for us? The whole song.
The whole song, it's a long song.
No, it's at least a couple of verses.
I gave you the first verse
Oh,
already.
We always love your singing, Swamiji.
You want, if we sang it together, but you all don't know it
We
probably.
don't
have heard it.
Sing one more verse. It's very touching
I
line.
know, that's
The
why.
translation is excellent though. But see this, koto dine hobe, how many days must pass, it actually would be the literal translation. How many days must pass for that awakening of prema, of that divine love, that real divine love. At that time, then hoye purnakam, all my desires will be stilled in God. As I repeat, bol bol harinam, it's very poetic. Noyone vahibe prem asudha, and my eyes will flow with the tears of love.
Or you can play that song by Shiva Deshananda. He sings this song very well.
কবে হবে আমার শুদ্ধ প্রাণ মন, কবে যাব আমি প্রেমের বৃন্দাবন, সংসার বন্ধন হইবে মোচন, জ্ঞানাঞ্জনে যাবে লোচনাধার, কত দিনে হবে সে প্রেম সঞ্চার, কবে পরশমণি করি পরশন, লৌহময় দেহ হইবে কাঞ্চন, হরিময় বিশ্ব করিব দর্শন, লুটাইব ভক্তি পথে আমি বার, কবে যাবে আমার ধর্ম কর্ম, কবে যাবে জাতি কুলের ভরম, কবে যাবে ভয় ভাবনা শরম, পরি হরি অভিমান লোকাচার, কত দিনে হবে সে প্রেম সঞ্চার, হয়ে পূর্ণকাম বলব হরিনাম, নয়নে বাহিবে প্রেম শ্রুধার, কত দিনে হবে সে প্রেম সঞ্চার, মাখি সর্বঙ্গে ভক্ত পদ ধুলি, কাঁধে লয়ে চির বৈরাগের ঝুলি, পিব প্রেম বারি দুই হাতে তুলি অঞ্জলি অঞ্জলি প্রেম যমুনার প্রেমে পাগল হয়ে হাসিব কাঁদিব সচিরানন্দ সাগরে ভাসিব আপনি মাতিয়ে সকলে মাতাব হরি পদে নিত্য করিব বিহার কত দিনে হবে সে প্রেম সঞ্চার কত দিনে হবে সে প্রেম সঞ্চার.
Very good.
There's some mystic line here
Thank
which
you, Swami.
actually wasn't translated properly, quite properly. Is this Pivo prema vari dui hate. I will drink the water of love with my two hands, taking handfuls of the water of the Jamuna is the river associated with Sri Krishna, but it's the Prem Jamuna. So it's that actually it's the river of love. So it's a kind of a mystic hinting of that there's this divine river of love, of which the Yamuna, the physical river, is only a pale reflection, as it were, a physical reflection, and that it's that river which I will take handfuls of that water and drink that water, and that makes me mad. That idea of madness, divine madness, I will become mad. Premi pagal hoye, pagal. I will become absolutely mad, and I will laugh and weep, and swim on the sea of Satchidananda, the ocean of Satchidananda. I myself being intoxicated, I will transmit that to others. Everybody will become mad, drunk with love, and forevermore my place will be at the blessed feet of the Lord. So that's that beautiful song. Okay, thank you.
Also, it's just Kobe Jabe Amar Dharam Karam. So, at least in most of the Indian language, the context for Dharma Karma is all just ritualistic. But in the translation, it says duty and piety. Duty and piety has more positive connotations.
Well, piety, it's just kind of, it's still on the external, it's on the external level, right? When should I give up piety and duty in the
Yeah,
thought of
so
caste?
duty kind of sounds like when should I give up? Because till the end, duty on one hand.
Swami Mahayogananda says duty is the midday sun scorching the vitals of humanity. We have to go beyond duty so that it becomes service. No longer duty, but everything becomes a service which actually is worship of God. So yeah, we have to go beyond duty. We start with duty, and we do our duty. It is without yearning for the results, but then we go beyond duty and we transform it into worship. So true, but
Mamaji, two lines from your favorite song, Dema Pagal Kore. Can you please sing that?
I don't know. I can't. That sounds very difficult.
2 lines.
That's that first line. Oh, mother, make me mad with thy love. Amai dema pagal kore, Brahma mai dema pagal kore, Brahma mai dema pagal kore. That much. Oh, mother, make me mad. Ar kaj nahi gyan vichare dema pagal. No, what use is knowledge and reasoning? I want love. Love is the essential thing. I want to love God. Make me mad with love. I don't need anything else. I don't need name and fame. I don't need wisdom. I don't need scripture. I don't need to be able to quote scriptures. All I need is love. The Beatles were right, you know.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you so much.